The Maserati MC12 Versione Corsa is one of the best Forza Horizon 4 cars. Here's how to tune it, how you unlock it, and what it's like at the mighty Goliath. Welcome to ATribeCalledCars, my name is Ben Griffin, I hope you are good. Now I know you're here to see me turn this car from a toddler-friendly curry to a fiery mass weapon of destruction, and we will get to that in 2 seconds. But just a quick bit of housekeeping, be sure to subscribe to ATribeCalledCars, share, like, and all of that stuff, because it really helps me, keeps the channel going, and I can make more videos, which is cool. Anyway, on with the show. First up, let's talk about the upgrades. For this guide, I'm going full fat X-Class, which means no points restriction, so I can do what I want. For specifics on upgrade order for lower classes, be sure to check out my latest Forza Horizon 4 in-depth tuning guide. Now I know all-wheel drive is boring, but I tend to do this conversion for road racing as it's much more effective. It only takes one mistake in a rear-wheel drive car to lose everything, and that's just annoying as hell, whereas all-wheel drive is usually more forgiving. Although at Goliath the speeds are so high that that's not always the case. The stock 6.4 litre engine and twin-turbo aspiration modification gives you the most horsepower and performance, so I'd go with that. Usually it's worth holding back on the upgrades to add horsepower at the expense of weight, but Goliath favours a high top speed, so fit everything you can for an impressive 1,530 horsepower. Weight reduction is one of the best upgrades as it helps make your car more agile, improves top speed, and more. In the case of the MC12 Versione Corsa, it saves 96 kilograms, which is the weight of a quite large person. Also slap on all the race differential and transmission stuff, as that means you can customize both the gears and the differential settings. These are both particularly useful in a car that can melt your face with its acceleration. I keep front tyre width the same to keep rolling resistance down and speed up, but go as wide as possible on the rear. You can't change the alloy and save weight, so there's no point looking in this area. I also avoid making the front and rear rim size larger, as there's no real benefit. Track width, however, I make as wide as possible on both the front and rear, as it does seem to help. There are relatively few upgrades for the Maserati MC12 Versione Corsa, so let's move on to the other important bit, how to tune it. I would say this car is more of a handling beast, but it is also lightning quick. Not quite as fast as the Ferrari 599XX Evolution though. What I would say is that it's a very light car and can be twitchy, so I've tried to tune some of that stuff out without affecting its turn-in potential. As mentioned in my in-depth tuning video, I find tyre pressure to be a bit broken in this game. It seems to work best if you go somewhere between 14 and 26 psi on the front and rear. 15 is the lowest you can go on this particular car, and that does actually work, but I find if you add just a little bit more, you are less likely to quickly lose traction if you're not the smoothest with your steering input. I keep each gear ratio the same, but I do adjust the final drive to around 3.2 to 3.4 for a good mix of acceleration and top speed. You're going to be hitting 260 miles an hour plus quite a lot at Goliath, so the more speed the better. But you don't want to give up too much acceleration for those slower corners. Camber, I go with -2 at the front and -1 at the rear. Stick between -2 and -1 at the front depending on taste. I keep toe the same for both the front and rear, as turn-in isn't really an issue for this car. Front caster I have at 6, but again you can go between 5 and 7 if you want to adjust the handling characteristics to suit your driving style. Drive it a bit and see how you feel. Anti-roll bars are set to -3 at the front and 62 at the rear. Yes, this works for some reason. You can go 1 and 65, but I find going a little less extreme helps keep the car more controllable. Springs I have at 70 at the front and 114 at the back. Ride height meanwhile is 7.3, so that's a few stops up to avoid bottoming out, but not really affect the top speed. Damping you can set to around 8.5 at the front and 13.2 at the rear. Bump stiffness I have at 3.3 and 5.5 respectively. Having your bump stiffness at between 25 and 50% of damping usually works well. Aero I have set to maximum cornering at the front and maximum speed at the rear. Brake I have at 53% towards the front, as this is currently the wrong way round in Forza Horizon 4, and I want the car to begin rotation as I'm braking before I turn. Pressure is best served at 100% or above. 200% is the fastest, but that makes it easier to lock the wheels, especially if you have ABS switched off. Lastly, the differential stuff. Because I've gone all-wheel drive with my MC12 Versione Corsa, I have front acceleration at 100% and deceleration at 0%. Same again for the rear. Center I put at 62 to 65% to bring back some of the positive rear-wheel drive characteristics without ruining the off-the-line acceleration goodness, which is borderline essential in online racing. This is far from a perfect Goliath lap, but I wanted to make this video fast, and the whole point is for you to see what the car is like, and hopefully that's what this does. Obviously, if you can get a better time than me, then please let me know in the comments below, or you can ask me questions about the setup itself. When it comes to times, I usually take the second lap or after as my main one, as you don't really want to include starting from zero. Bear in mind, the original Maserati MC12 FE Forza edition could manage around 7 minutes 20 without trying too hard. So it's going to be interesting to see how much better the Versione Corsa version is. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If so, subscribe to the tribe, share and like. Take care, bye.
Really great.